Hello everyone and welcome to board 55 from Dubious positions and how to attack them. So this again will deal with the central cannon with versus the single horse defense, but it would go over a rather unorthodox and seldom seen opening line. So without further ado, let us begin. Central cannon. And for this board, instead of developing the horse as a proper horse or pushing the pawn forward, red will play h8 plus 9. Now this is a less commonly seen opening. So it would indicate that red was prepared to take the game down seldom trodden roads. So we shall see how black would defend. Black plays p7 plus 1, which is okay, and red goes for the 5-6 cannons. Now, this would be the dubious move of discussion for this board. On the surface, it might appear that there was nothing wrong with this move because black would play since red had developed the horses and edge horse, developing the horses and edge horse would also appear to be okay. However, in doing so, black's central pawn will now become very fragile and vulnerable to attack because there's only one horse that was protecting it. And the repercussions of this move will be seen later on. So red develops his left chariot as a foul chariot to target the cannon. Black protects the cannon. The red develops the other chariot also as a foul chariot. And black would advance the cannon to form a blockade. Now, if he did not, let's say if he played a4 plus 5, red could play r2 plus 6 to limit the space of these two pieces. Also, this would double down his attack on black's central pawn, and black would be in trouble. So, faced with black's c8 plus 4, red would boldly sacrifice his pawn. Now, this is a commonly used tactic in Xiangqi, especially in high-level matches. With p3 plus 1, the pawn would attack and red would play r8 plus 4. Now, what would happen if red chose to play r8 plus 4 first before trading pawns? If he did so, black would have the option of playing c2 equals to 5 for a discovered attack. Black would now place red in a dilemma because he was now trading chariots. So black could have seized the initiative with this one move because let's say if red captured the chariot, accepted the trade, after trading chariots we can see the position on the board. Red would not be compensated with anything because the chariot will now still not have any good places to move. The cannon would be attacking, the horse would be prepared to go, and this horse would not have any major trouble to be developed. He could develop as an edge horse or the proper horse later on. If red did not accept the trade and chose to play r8 equals to 4, for example, to prevent the horse from moving, black could simply capture the central pawn and offer a trade of chariots, and red must deal with this threat first, but he will lose tempo later on. So that is why p3 plus 1 was played in the nick of time, and it is a very good move to make. Black could accept, and now would be the correct time to play r8 plus 4. Because now if black played c2 equals to 5, red could play r8 equals to 3 to capture the pawn. Black would usually advance the pawn, and now red would apply a fork, attacking the horse and pawn at the same time. This would be the position of discussion for this board. There were 3 main variations. Variation A, h7 plus 6, variation B, p7 plus 1, and variation C, e7 plus 5. So before we continue, what would c8 equals to 5 be possible at this point in time? Let us see. Red would simply capture the cannon, and if black captured the chariot, this would be a discovered check, and red would gain material. So that is why c8 plus 5 is not a viable option in this situation. So let us go to variation A. And variation A, which is perhaps the worst possible option for black at this point in time. Black will play h7 plus 6. And since no one was guarding the central pawn, red will capture it. And let's say black tried to attack the chariot with this move, he will still be in trouble. But before we continue, would p7 plus 1 be an option? The answer would be no, because red would be more than happy to sacrifice the horse, as it will give him a chance to play c6 plus 3 to threaten with the double cannon's checkmate. The king will be forced, the move, check, and the king cannot move here. If the black king moved here, red would have immediately have a winning position with a check, followed by retreating the chariot to the pawn rank, and black cannot resolve this checkmate threat. Red would have a winning position. But with k5 equals to 4, red would still be winning, because red would deliver a check, forcing the cannon to defend, and red will simply sacrifice the chariot for a check, and then play r2 plus 1, preparing to play r2 equals to 6. Again, there's nothing that black can do to prevent this checkmate. So this will be victory to red. If the black cause captured, the red cannot capture it, and there's still the threat of r2 equals to 6. So red would clear victory if black captured the horse. So black will try to attack the chariot, but red will be more than happy to sacrifice the chariot for a checkmate. Forcing the king up, a check, and red would have resolved the threat of the cannon attacking his chariot at this point in time. Red would retreat his horse to attack the cannon, forcing it to advance, and red could now take a breather for a short while and up his defenses, consolidate his defenses before slowly maneuvering his chariot to attack. The black king is perched at a very perilous position, and there will be many things that black will be worried about. So red would have a huge advantage by this time. Now let us go to variation B, p7 plus 1. Black immediately trades material. Red captures the horse, and this would be black's best move in this situation, offering a trade of chariots. So before we continue, would e3 plus 5 be an option? Red will retreat the chariot, targeting the cannon. Now black can only play c8 plus 2. He cannot play c8 equals to 5, as red could cross check and capture the black chariot, because for beginners, check, and it will now be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 chariots versus black's 1 chariot and 2 cannons and 1 horse. So obviously red would have a winning position by this point in time. The cannon is still under attack, etc. So that is why c8 plus 2 must be played, and after pushing the cannon forward, red will simply capture the pawn and now still be attacking. Now black, in the initial array, the pawn was here. It had made 1, 2, 3, 4 moves only to be captured, and this would also result in a huge loss of tempo. And also at this point in time, red could capture the central cannon. He could also target the elephant, and black would still be in a passive situation. So e3 plus 5 is not viable. What about c2 equals to 5? As red tries to form a counterattack, red would simply capture the central pawn, delivering a check, and up his defenses. And as can be seen, the pawn would have nowhere to go. It cannot advance, or the chariot capture. If it traverses, the cannon will capture it. So again, this chariot and cannon would be pinned by red's chariot. So red will also have the advantage in this situation. So that is why c2 equals to 5 is not viable, and c8 equals 7 would be black's best bet in this situation. So red would trade chariots, sacrifice his elephant in the process. But after trading chariots, we can see that red's central file was extremely vulnerable and fragile. So red will immediately capture the central pawn and thus gain a headhunter cannon in the process. Now his offensive cannot be denied. So let's say black tried to dislodge the chariot, the cannon, sorry. Of course red would refuse, move his cannon to safety, and now black would threaten to capture the central pawn. Red will play c6 plus 3. Red tries to master some form of offensive. The king would simply move out. Black tries to dislodge the central cannon. Red will protect the chariot in this manner, and at this point in time, red will be faster in drawing first blood. His attack is unstoppable, and let's say if black tried to attack by playing c7 equals 6, threatening to checkmate or deliver a check, red would simply play would play c6 equals to 5 to force the black chariot to capture the cannon, and he would now capture the chariot calmly. Red would not have to fear this move because there's always a cross check with c5 equals to 4, and black must deal with the check and lose his cannon, and obviously now red would have a winning position. So that is why p7 plus 1 is not viable. So now let us go to the last final variation, e3 e7 plus 5, whereby black opts to consolidate his defense. This is a relatively steadfast method of play that would minimize black's losses, but red will still have the upper hand in this variation. Since e7 plus 5 was played, black would first take out the offending pawn. Black would regroup by retreating his cannon, hopefully to play c8 equals to 7 or c8 equals to 5, etc. later on as the situation permits. But red will make this very powerful move of c6 plus 5, which exemplifies one of the ways that the pale corner cannon can be used in Xiangqi. This cannon would attack the horse and also block the cannon from protecting the black horse. Black would move the horse to safety, threatening the red chariot, and red would take his time, be calm and cool-headed with r3 plus 1. He cannot play r3 plus 5, hoping to gain material, because black would push his cannon forward to limit this chariot. And let's say red tried to capture material, a4 plus 5, capturing the trading away the horse, and red would now play r6 minus 3 to threaten the horse and hope to pin black's cannon and chariot. That is why black would play c2 plus 5 to prevent this from happening and offer a trade on material, hoping to liquefy the situation. Now at this point in time, h6 plus 7 will result in this situation. So at this point in time, red would play h3 plus 4, black would retreat. Now although in this situation black would still have the advantage and an easier time ahead, but black's crisis would be resolved temporarily, and he will not have sustained too great of a loss, so he will still have a chance to force a draw later on in the game. So r3 plus 5 is not viable. What about capturing the central pawn directly? Black would play c8 equals to 5, and the effect or the power of this rough red central cannon will be greatly diminished. Now this would be offering a trade of chariots. So let's say red tries to protect, black would liquefy the situation, and he would now be able to mount a counter attack. So black would seize the initiative instead, just within a span of 2 or 3 moves. So c5 plus 4 is not viable. Instead, r3 plus 1 will be the better move, seeing how red would, seeing how black would attack. Black cannot afford r3 equals to 8, so he plays g2 plus 5 to threaten the horse. Now there are many other options. Red will now continue to capture the central pawn, and now would be the time to play c2 plus 7. The advisor cannot capture the cannon, otherwise this cannon will be delivering a check. And with this move, the space of movement of these two pieces would be greatly diminished. Now it would not be a good idea to play r2 plus 5 because black would be able to protect his horse, and he could continue with h6 plus 5 later on, or r2 equals to 5 to dislodge the red cannon. So black will be given a chance to fight back in this situation. So that is why r2 plus 7 is a more aggressive and more effective attack. Black tries to protect the horse. If it is not a good idea to move the king out, threatening to capture the advisor, because red can simply retreat his cannon and still be attacking this file. So r6 plus 1, red is prepared to gain material. r2 equals to 5, black tries to dislodge the cannon, offering a trade of material. And this would be a very straightforward and desirable move in this situation. Now if r3 plus 2, black would retreat his cannon and link his cannons up indirectly, so the effects of c6 plus 1 cannot be realized. r3 equals to 5 would also not be a viable move because black would be more than happy to liquefy the situation, and still there's always r8 equals to 7 to offer a trade of material. So black would still be able to handle red's aggression. So that is why perhaps the best move would be to play r2 plus 1. r8 plus 1, after trading material, red will now threaten to checkmate with c2 plus 1. So black will have to capture the central cannon, a check, and red captures the elephant, threatening to checkmate by retreating the cannon. This will be a spotted cannon checkmate. Black is forced to make this move, and red will simply move the cannon to safety, and as can be seen, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and black's 4 pieces, but red's positioning is extremely favorable, and he will now already be attacking the the bottom rank. So red will also have the extra pawn. He would have 4 pawns versus red's 3 pawns, so red would have the obvious advantage. Now, the biggest reason for black's demise will be this nonchalant, this nonchalant move that he played for his 4th file, and the repercussions are huge and tremendous, as can be seen in the various variations over here. So let us review this board from the eyes of black. Okay, over here, central cannon. A rather interesting move, h8 plus 9, p7 plus 1, and black goes for the single horse defense. Very nonchalant move, but he will have to pay dearly for this move. And black forms a blockade, refusing to give the red chair any space to move. p3 plus 1, a very nice move at this point in time, but pseudo sacrifice. So p7 plus 1, I plus 4, advancing the pawn, and r equals to 3. This would be the position of discussion for this spot. Variation A, h7 plus 6, and red will capture the central pawn, attack, and black goes for the checkmate, check. Red resolves the earlier threat and takes his time to defend. The chariots will now be out. The king is still perched precariously, and red can be very happy with this situation. Version B, p7 plus 1, r3 plus 3, and this would be the best way to trade chariots. If not, red would be attacking ferociously. So would this move be? Black cannot capture the pawn, or he will lose the chariot to red's check. So let's say, so red would have a winning position. Now c2 equals to 5 is not a good idea either, because red could capture, and red will still have the advantage. So that is why p7 plus 1, c8 equals to 7 would be black's best bet. r2 plus 9. After trading material, red will now start his attack by capturing the central pawn, threatening the checkmate. Black tries to dislodge the pesky red cannon. Black would have none of it, and red would have a winning position at this point in time. Here he must move his... Black cannot assume that he'll be faster in a kill, because let's say if we play c7 equals to 6, c6 to 5, forcing the black chariot to capture. And if black tried to play p7 equals to 6, cross check. Red delivers a check and will capture the black cannon for the win. So final variation C, e7 plus 5. This is the most steadfast way for black to play this position. However, there's always this move of c6 plus 5, as mentioned earlier, which shows exemplifies one of the ways that the pale corner cannon can be used. h7 plus 6, r3 plus 1 would be the best, safest way for red to approach this situation. If r3 plus 5, black would have a chance to rebound from his situation. Red would still have the advantage, but the chances for winning would be greatly diminished. And if c5 plus 4, black will counter with central cannon. The effects of this cannon will be greatly diminished. After a few replies, black will seize the initiative. So that is why r3 plus 1 will be the best bet. And black would be forced to play c2 plus 5, otherwise red will play r3 equals to 8 to form a pin. Check. And red compresses the position on the space that these two pieces can move. r2 plus 5 is not as good because black will be able to defend, and he will have the option of he'll have a chance of coming back in the game. r2 plus 4, k5 equals to 4 cannot be played, they cannot retreat and still be attacking. c6 plus 1, trade material will be the best. If not, black would defend, or still offer a trade of material and free himself from black's pin, or from red's pin, sorry. And I plus 1, after trading material, red will now be threatening to checkmate, so the black chariot must move, and black would gain a huge advantage in this situation. So I hope you've enjoyed this short video. If you like the work that I've been doing, please do subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. Thank you.